Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 13 of Backpacks and Stories. I'm here today with my friend Pranav.
Hi.
The camera didn't change for a second. How are you doing today?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been a while. Last time
It
we
has
saw
been a while.
in June last year.
Yeah, exactly. Been a while. Kept in touch through voice messages and whatnot, but not face to face like this.
Not face to face. And even when we saw each other last year, it was the first time in 10
I
years.
think I honestly think it was 9 or 10 years for sure.
Long time. And we've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
together for 15 years, 16 years.
So what was that?
We've known each other for 15 or 16 years.
Yeah.
Which year were you in Hosmer? You came in year 3.
Year 4. So 2008, end of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 15 years out. Oh yeah, 16 years now, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, long time.
A very long time. Very
Yeah.
long time. So would you like to start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Pranav. As Ben mentioned, we went to school together for a few years when we were very young. Used to live in the same town as Ben in Hemel Hempstead, and then I moved away. Still nearby, but not quite as close. I'm now working now at a company called Lloyd's of London, and had the pleasure of going or joining Ben on one of his adventures in Peru last year. So that was my little post-graduation trip before working. And I messaged Ben asking him, "Oh, where should I go in South America if I chose to go there?" And then he just said, "Well, I'm off to Peru like during this period. Like you can come and join me." And I was just like, "Say less. Like I'll book my flights." So yeah, it's been good fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And where are you originally from?
I was born in India, and then after a bit, finally settled down in the UK.
And you also spent like 1 month in New York. I remember you telling me, right?
Yeah. So story was I was born in New York, but my dad was living in the UK. So I used to come between the UK and go back to India here and there. And then he moved out to New York. So me and my mum went to New York as well to settle down. The story is that he then got offered a chance to come back to the UK permanently. And then I think at the time it was just better to be in the UK, and it was a lot closer towards like India as well. So obviously back then we didn't have the whole foresight that we were gonna live in the UK for basically the rest of our lives. So it was always a good chance to stay somewhat closer to family than America. I think at the time as well, like the healthcare system and the school system was like miles better than America, maybe. That was at least that was a perception my parents had. So it just seemed like a better fit for us. So yeah, came back here. Since I was 4, I've been permanently living here, and yeah, just making trips back to India every now and then, see family, go on a few trips, etc., etc.
And remind me, which city you're from?
I'm from Bangalore, which is in South India. I wasn't born there. I was born in like in the same state, but Bangalore's where I grew up. I think I spent a few months in like nursery or like reception or whatever you want to call it. Um, and I remember I was the fastest kid at running and cycling. I still got my certificates from that.
Certificates.
Huh?
Certificates.
Mate, we had sports day. I smashed everyone. And the cycles, they were like tricycles, like the ones you put little kids in. Yeah. I smashed everyone. I'm telling you, there was like a 10-second gap between me and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was good fun. And then yeah, so grew up there for like literally 3-4 years, and then came to America, and then finally came here.
Yeah, the UK. 20
UK in all its glory.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And when was the last time you visited India? Was it last year?
Yeah, I went December last year, had New Year's and then came back like 2nd Jan or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I go like every now and then to see family. I'd say it was probably like every year and a half max until I turned about 16. And then with like as you get busier with like I did A levels and like university applications and all that. And then COVID hit. So I went in 2019, then COVID hit, then I went in 2022, and then end of 23, 24. So yeah, hopefully I'll start going a little bit more. But but yeah, there's so much to see in India as well. So like me and my cousins, we started traveling in India, or like every time I go, we try and do like a little trip. So we went to the northeast, which is like near the foothills of the Himalayas, in a state called Meghalaya, which is it's known as like the world's wettest region just because of the amount of rainfall they have there, and the humidity is crazy. Like it's so. I got off the plane and I had a hoodie on, and like straight away it's like hoodie straight off. And like even like I got on the plane in Bangalore, right? And like you think like it's one country, like the flight can't be that long, right?
Yeah.
The captain comes on the PA and it's just like flight time today, 4 hours, 10 minutes. I'm like, what? Like, where are we going? Like, because what it's like 6 hours from New York to San Francisco or LA or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's when I actually deep like how big like India is, at least like vertically.
Yeah.
Like 4 hours, 10 minutes. I was like, Jesus, like that's like UK to Turkey or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Crossing a whole continent.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. So yeah, Meghalaya was really nice. Like the landscapes, and it was my first proper trip after COVID as well, and I think that helped. And like I think previously my cousins and I we hadn't really traveled too much. The amount I see them is limited anyway, and then on top of that, doing fun stuff like this is even more limited. So it's good fun to do something like that with your relatives.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So have you managed to cover quite a lot of India now, or you still have a lot to see?
Not even like so much more to see. So I've done like Bangalore is a city, so like nothing like crazy, but it's still good fun to go. I've been to Goa, which is like west of Bangalore. They've got some nice beaches there, good nightlife and all that kind of stuff. I've been to Jaipur, which is like you're starting to go towards the northwest, and it's much more deserty, and you've got like the camels and things like that, the nice palaces and old forts. And then obviously Meghalaya, which is completely nature. Like there's nothing too much in terms of like buildings and things like that, but just the scenery and the waterfalls and the amount. So Meghalaya actually means like abode of the clouds or something like that. That's like a loose translation. So we rented a car, and it was like the most rackety car like I've ever. We took it, and as soon as we stepped on the pedal, like you could hear one of the axles like just fucking up, bro. We just went with it anyway. And what happens is like you go around all these roads, and like it's like what you see in like Italy with like the mountains and all the roads, right? So you're going up there, and then suddenly like a huge cloud will come like in front of you, and you cannot see anything. And you don't want to stop in case like someone hits you from behind, but you don't want to go too fast either. And you're just following the white line on the left of the road. Like that's all you can see, and you've got your hazards on, your fog lights, but it doesn't do anything. And then 5 minutes later, it will all clear up, and then you can see everything.
Yeah.
So the conditions were like it was crazy, but it was still so beautiful to see. Like when you stop the car and like look down at the mountains and stuff like that. So yeah, I cannot say enough good stuff about that place.
Where's the next place that you really want to travel around India?
Around India, probably back to either Kerala, which is like still part of South India, but like right on the west side. They've got really nice like backwaters and forestry stuff and things like that. Or rather, or back to like the mountainous areas. Yeah, one of them too. That'd be quite nice.
And this is the southwest, you said, or the
Yeah,
north?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
yeah. I guess that'd be good fun. Or even to some of the see. One thing I haven't done in India is go to like a cricket match, and it sounds really stupid, but like cricket in India is like crazy. Like it's meant to be like a religion. So I wanna go to like a cricket match or something like that, just to see the experience.
You've never been to one?
No, not in India. I've been in the UK, but not to a cricket match in India. Yeah,
But
there's no reason for it.
even like a local one in a field or something.
No, I've done the local ones in the field, but they're not really like official matches, right? Like I don't think the quality is something which people associate with India when you're playing in a field. But I want to go to like an actual packed stadium and experience the atmosphere there.
Mhm. And where's your favorite place that you visited? Would it be the waterfalls?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That like that northeast. So there's like if you look at India on a map, there's like a little arm that goes off in like the east direction, just above Bangladesh. That's basically where we were, and then we drove right to the border of Bangladesh. And there's like a river basically, right? I promise you, the border. There is a fence generally, but by the river, the border was literally like a load of big stones. And
Mm.
like I was hoping to like jump across just to be like, oh, I've been in Bangladesh now, like just take it off my list, right? But then you have all these like border force like people, and they've
Okay.
got like guns and stuff, right? So, and you've got the people from the Bangladesh side just being like, oh, don't come over, and they're pointing at like the border force guys. And
Oh, so you were physically contemplating it.
yeah, until I realized like how serious this whole situation is, because I was just like no one's gonna really care if you just like hop across for like 5 seconds and then come back, right? But yeah, it's actually like a big thing. Um,
Do we need a visa for Bangladesh?
do I need one?
But
Oh
you,
no,
you,
yeah, actually, wait, no, we got the same passport. Uh, probably. I actually don't know, to be honest.
but you still have
Yeah.
to enter formally anyway. You can't just
Formally, anyway. Yeah, I still need to get that stamp. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, no, but yeah, it'd be nice to see some of these other countries in that region. So I've been to Sri Lanka as well earlier this year. Yeah, so it'd be nice to see some more places in that area. Be good
Mhm.
fun. Nepal, especially. Yeah, that'd be good.
So you're from the south of India, and
Mm.
how is Sri Lankan culture completely different?
Um, you've got some similar stuff, I guess, and some not so similar stuff. So we'll start in terms of the similar stuff. Like they speak Tamil as well, which is like another language spoken in India. Like in like South India, I think there are differences between the languages. I don't speak it myself, but I've heard that there are some differences. And then you've got like another language called Sinhalese in Sri Lanka, which isn't spoken in India. So I wouldn't. Yeah, you got that, and then but all the food is it's similar, but I think there's more fish options, like because it's obviously an island. I think I noticed especially where we ate, you can obviously get your chicken and stuff like that, but the local delicacies are more fish based. I'd say there's a lot more like Buddhism there compared to India, which is more dominated by Hinduism, which it starts like the more cultural differences and things
Mhm.
like that. So like I didn't feel like I was in a foreign country, admittedly, but I also like I knew it wasn't India as well.
Yeah,
And I'd say that there was generally less people like population wise, like wherever we went. I know we went to some tourist spots, right? And even when we did go to the city, it didn't feel as packed as some places that I have been to in India. So you've got that, and I think generally people seemed a little nicer as well. They were just more chilled out. I'd say it's a better way to describe it. They weren't like they were just happy to just chat to you and things like that. But in India, like everyone seems like they have things to do. So like even if you like chat to someone, you're probably gonna get like a 5-10 second conversation and then you're on your way. So
really.
as in like it depends what situation you're in, right? So um I think we were basically negotiating a price to go scuba diving in Sri Lanka. And they were just chilled out. They were just like, think about it, take your time, like, do your calculations or whatever. Admittedly, I haven't gone scuba diving in India, but I feel there's just like, this is the rate if you want to take it. If not, like, fine. You'll still probably be able to negotiate, but like, it's just a bit, I've, from what I've experienced, like negotiating and things like that, it's just a bit more faster paced.
Like
Um,
there's a level of directness to it.
yeah, and like, I've seen like my parents do it, and it's just like you can reduce it. Like you can even I've tried it as well. And just put another zero or like take that zero off like the end of the number and stuff like that. So in Sri Lanka, like the people like I was with a local and so he's my friend and we went with him basically. He's Sri Lankan and even he was just chilled out and he wasn't trying to he was trying to make sure the price was fair and like we get a good price, they get a good price, everyone's happy sort of thing. So I think people generally in Sri Lanka just seemed a bit more chilled out to me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how did you spend 16 days there, or that was 16 days the whole trip between Malaysia and Sri Lanka?
Yeah, 16 days for the whole trip. So we went to Singapore first, actually. So it was so basically my friend, he's now a doctor. And in the UK, as you're finishing your medicine degree, you get to do this thing called an elective, which is you spend some time anywhere you want doing a bit. It's basically like a medical placement, but you can travel, you can do what you want. So he did his in Sri Lanka. And then what happened was he was allowed to travel as well. So me and another friend took a flight to Singapore and he met us there. And he had other friends who were also on the electives. And so in Singapore, we went around. I had a pen pal who I met for the first time, which I think I told you about, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also had a friend who we went to school with. And she was from Singapore and then she went back to Singapore after school. So we met her as well. So it's good fun seeing both of them and then walking around Singapore as well. And yeah, that was another place where the humidity was crazy. Yeah, that really blew me away. Because like people tell you the humidity is mad and it's really hot, but once you actually feel it, it's not like the sun heat. It's not like hot as in like you go to a place where there's a beach. It's just the humidity. And then from there we went to Kuala Lumpur, which was really nice. I really enjoyed KL actually. I think that was probably like my favorite city out of the ones we traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it had a good. Sorry.
You preferred KO to Singapore?
As in I preferred it in the sense that I had a good mix of culture and like modernness, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I didn't spend enough time in Singapore because I was a bit constrained on time, so I didn't see everything. But I felt Malaysia had a good balance of that as well, and it was really cheap, which helped my travel budget for that trip.
Just a question on that. I don't know if you have the answer, but do you know the majority of the Indian immigration to Malaysia, which part of India, or is it all from all parts of India?
I don't really know, but I know there's a lot of Tamil speakers in Malaysia, and they're generally from the southeast of India. Like people who speak Tamil in India. I don't know in terms of like a split of immigration, like where they're from in India. But there is like, I think historically there was always like trade routes between Singapore, Malaysia, India, Sri Lanka. And I think before that, like there would have been some. I think there was. So when we went to Sri Lanka, we saw like forts and stuff like that which were destroyed. And the story is that there was like Indian like invaders or attackers that came and then destroyed it all, which is why see I don't know all the answers. I'm just speculating, but I hope that's okay on your podcast.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I think that's why you have a lot of Tamil speakers in Sri Lanka. And then it leads to like even more like trading and things like that between different places. And as time evolves, people settle down in different places, just like I've settled down in the UK, etc. Which is why you have a lot of Tamil speakers in Malaysia. I think Tamil is also one of the official languages in Singapore now.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Singapore's got 4 official languages. So I want to say it's Mandarin, English, Malay, I think, and Tamil. I might have 1 or 2 of them wrong, but I'm along. Do you want to Google it?
Yeah. Official languages of Singapore. Yeah, you are correct.
Nice.
Technically, it's Singaporean Mandarin.
Oh, okay, fine.
But yeah.
So Yeah, so I think that's how like the languages and the cultures have spread. And even in Kuala Lumpur, there's like you might have seen it on your like traveling reels and stuff like that. But you'll find this like temple which is in like a bit of a cave, and the steps leading up to it are they're all like painted in like rainbow colors, and you've got this big like you got this big statue of this like Indian god or deity. So and if when we went there, everyone there spoke Tamil, like all the local people.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I can like I don't know Tamil like that, but when I hear it, I know what the language is like when they speak it. So I knew what they were speaking. So yeah, Sri Lanka. So from KL, we didn't go anywhere outside of KL. We stayed in KL mainly. From there, we went to Sri Lanka, and then my friend was obviously like a bit of a local. So he's a bit like me, where he's moved here at a younger age, or his family moved here, and then he grew up here as well. And but he knows like Sinhalese, he knows the language and the culture. So we spent about 10 days in all in Sri Lanka, a lot of time on the road, and our driver was he was really nice as well. So he told us like some of the bits that we might have missed out on if we're passing like a place which has got a nice story or something like that. He'd stop and like tell us about it.
Mhm.
Or if there's like one of those local vendors like selling fruits which are like local to Sri Lanka, he'd stop off, buy it for us, make us try it. So yeah, it was really good fun actually. It was a good mix. That the whole trip was a good mix of like culture of like modern city like Singapore, Malaysia, of just different cultures and things like that. So yeah, good fun.
Yeah, very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. And in India, there are lots of little islands surrounding the country.
There are a few. So there's one called I always mess up the name, but Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They're like they're completely east of India, basically. There is another island which is quite an interesting story. So I think there's basically a local tribe there who haven't been exposed to like all the yeah, you might have heard of it, all the modern civilizations. And I think there's in the Indian like um what do you call it, like the judicial system or whatever you want to call it. There's like an act which basically makes India just like I think we protect it just to make sure no one goes and like disturbs them. I think someone actually did go to them and they basically killed him because they obviously would see him as a bit of a threat or something like that. They don't know
Yeah.
what to do. They don't speak the languages, you know. And I think I don't know if this is true or not, but I've just read this thing where like a helicopter went near the island and they started attacking the helicopter with spears and things like that. So yeah, there's that island. I don't think there's any like other like crazy islands. Maybe the odd one here and there, which you know I don't know of, or that are uninhabited or people
And
don't live. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So yeah, nothing too crazy though.
Mhm. And apart from, well, obviously going back to India at some point, where's your next idea? Where do you want to see in the world?
Yeah, so Dad and I are going to Lanzarote next month for a few days. Should be fun. But admittedly, I haven't actually been to America all that much, since I basically like since I was 4 years old, basically. So I wanna go see America, catch some NBA and baseball games, and go see New York and all that, San Francisco, Chicago, all the big cities. Also, I'd like to go see Japan, like South Korea, Thailand, basically anywhere not in Europe or the UK. That's probably a better way to put it. Not that I've got anything against Europe, but I've just seen quite a lot of it already. So it'd be nice to venture out, maybe South America again once I learn some Spanish or something.
You picked up a few things in a couple weeks.
I picked up a couple of things. Tranquilo, I know is one of your favorite words. So yeah, maybe something like that. Wanted to go to Morocco for quite a while now. That'd be quite interesting. Just need to pick a good season to go in. So
It isn't any time of year is good to go, no?
yeah, but you don't want it to be like 50 degrees and then you don't enjoy it and all that. So just make sure you go at a time when the temperature's not crazy. Then it should be okay.
Escape the winter.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, mate? What's next on your list?
Oh, well, this is a real problem because when being here long term, it makes me, well, not long term, but for me,
Yeah.
having been here a while now, like it does make me think a lot about where I want to go.
Mm.
I also want to do an India trip and Sri Lanka and Nepal and
Yeah.
Pakistan. I also want to see Japan and South Korea.
Yeah.
Maybe we can coincide that one.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do something.
But probably I don't know when.
Yeah.
I still have so much more of Europe to see,
Mm.
and that's okay. When I'm in Europe, I'm in Europe. Like
Yeah.
that continent's not going anywhere, you know. But then I also really want to see Mexico and Central America.
Yeah.
And Caribbean,
Mm.
go back to South America,
Yeah.
New Zealand, just the whole world, the Middle East.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm talking about Africa, you know, like it's such a big world.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Also, like on my mind is like I want to go to these like world events, like the World Cups and the Olympics, and see what. So when I mentioned America, like go see what the NBA culture is, because I'm not into basketball, but it'd be good fun to see how Americans follow their sports. Even in India, go to like cricket matches, things like that. So I wanna. Me and my friends, like sometimes we talk about going to Formula One races in foreign countries. Only issue with that is like you need to book like pretty well in advance and things like that, which gets a bit sticky.
Expensive, no?
To be honest, yeah, it's like so I paid something like £300 for last year's British Grand Prix. Okay,
But for the weekend,
no, for one day.
for one day.
One day for the race day, we had a good
Ooh.
seats. It wasn't general admission. Good seats. But then I saw this thing which is like if you pay like 350 or something in Bahrain, you get like pit lane access. You get to walk on the track before the race, and just so many more things to see in terms of the actual F1 event. Obviously, in like the UK, you've then got like a bit of a like the music culture and stuff, and you get like musicians perform at Silverstone, which is like I guess that's part of what you pay for. But as like as someone who likes F1, I'd rather much see like the actual garages and things like that. I was as close to them as I can possibly get. So although it is expensive, I think like going abroad, you also get to see like you probably not just go for the F1 race, right? Like you'll go see some other places as well. So it's just a bit of it's an excuse to go to a different country and just experience it.
Yeah, any excuse to travel.
Yeah, trust me.
No, but at the end of the day, when it is one of your passions, and
yeah,
I think that you are a very technically interested person. Like the things that you're interested to, you really like the technical side of it, like planes, for example.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't chatted about them in a long time.
You want to talk about planes?
Oh, yeah, why not? So Ben will know this. I guess like when I was younger, probably like 9, 10, 11, like I was just a bit of a nerd about planes, basically. I think as I got older, it petered out. But then I did study like aerospace engineering at uni. So yeah, like I still, to be fair, I still like keep up with what goes on, but less of a technical aspect and more of a what would you call it? More of like the business side of things and how like for example how seat configurations are used to maximize your profits on certain routes, etc. So yeah, planes I used to like a lot. I still do. But it's just one of those like just one of those yeah. I was actually at Heathrow Airport yesterday and I was like as you pass the airport you get to see all the planes. And then I wasn't like geeking out or anything like that. But I was still thinking like it would be so cool just to work like amongst like in that industry just generally. But yeah, I decided otherwise.
Why?
Why? Oh, why? I think what happened was like I went to uni. I mean, I did engineering to keep my options open. It wasn't like a thing of like I want to definitely do engineering after university. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I'd done like a couple of internships before uni. So I did one at a bank and then I did one at General Electric Healthcare. And just like the general consensus, like at the end of it was like, if I do go down, like I do something like economics or something, I would never be able to jump back into engineering. But if I did something more maths based, more STEM subject related. So for those who don't know, STEM in the UK is science, technology, engineering, and maths. If I did something more along those lines, then it just keeps my options open a little bit more. And then as I did the course, I enjoyed it, but then I didn't enjoy it to a level where I was like, this is what I want to do for like my career and things like that.
Mhm.
So I had a year out. Well, I basically like, so it was first, second. I basically like didn't pass one of the university years. So I was kind of left like, no, I knew I didn't have any doubts as to what I was going to do. I knew I was going to find myself a job because I think I'd really wanted to do like a year in industry. But then with COVID and then I couldn't like find one as well. Like it didn't really work out that way. So my whole plan as soon as I realized like I failed the year was to like kind of make this into like a year in industry light version. So for those who don't know, like a year in industry in the UK is you in the middle of your course, you can take a year out to basically work full time at a company. And then it's just good experience for your CV or for whatever else, basically. So after doing that, I was basically selling travel insurance, which you have some good weeks, some weeks you don't get too many sales and all of that kind of stuff. It was never like cold calling or anything, which was a good thing. It was like people would call you, so you knew they were interested in it. You weren't like calling like random people and be like, "Do you want insurance for your holiday in Spain or something?" And then from there, I finished off my engineering degree, and then went on to the corporate world.
The corporate world.
Yeah,
How's life in the corporate world?
life is life is good. It's a lot different to probably not to what I expected, but it's one thing knowing what to like. It's one thing expecting it to be another way, and another thing living it completely. So it's good fun. I moved back home now, so I'm with my parents. Because rent is crazy expensive in and around London, so it's nice to save some money. But yeah, working's fun. I like the stability is good. I like that there's a bit of a routine. Um, but um, but yeah, obviously, like I spend a lot of time commuting, which isn't always fun. So yeah, and there's not a lot of like people. I try to get into reading as well on the tube, but I just cannot do it.
Why?
Just get distracted, to be honest. I'll do it for like a day or two, and then the third day I'll be like sleepy, so I'll just nap on the train, and then that rhythm just goes, and then the fourth day I'll be watching YouTube. Yeah, it's like I'm not great with the consistency when it comes to reading, and the thing is like you spend so much time like in generally whether you're working or I do like a qualification on the side, so whether you're working or studying, you spend so much time just like concentrating and reading and writing and stuff. So it's nice to be not doing any of that and just watching something on your phone sometimes.
Mm.
So so that's probably part of the reason why I'm not getting into like the reading as much as I probably should be.
Have you tried audiobooks?
I have, but I found that even worse. Like, I just started
Really
daydreaming. I
worse.
just started daydreaming, mate. I like podcasts. Podcasts are fun. I was listening to one about the other day. It's kind of like I wouldn't say blown up, but it's become like a talking point, I guess, lately, where some woman got catfished for like 9 years or something crazy. I don't know if you've heard of it. No, they made a Netflix documentary about it, but it's based off a podcast.
Okay.
And the podcast goes like way more into detail. So I think the podcast is called like Sweet Bobby or something like that.
Sweet.
And it's like, yeah, so the catfisher's name is Bobby.
Yeah.
who turns out to be a real person, but like the person catfishing just used that real person's profile and started chatting to this person. So yeah, it was believed that. So the girl believed that she was chatting to the real Bobby when she was chatting to the fake one.
Okay.
And it went on for like 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that could go on for so long.
To be honest, like when I first read about it, I was a bit like, there's no way you can be done for 9 years. Like that's a bit mental. When you hear it, you're kind of like, I get it to some extent, but like I also don't.
I guess sometimes it's the idea of like wanting something to be true so much that you just you illusion yourself and you can get lost. Have you seen Baby Reindeer?
I started it, but I didn't finish it.
You should finish it. It's really, really crazy. Kind of.
I heard it's a bit messy. Yeah, I heard it's one of those Netflix ones which are a bit messed up.
I only watched it recently. I didn't watch it when it was in the hype, but it was really heavy, really, really heavy.
Right. I see. I know. I'll give it a watch. I got some leave coming up, so.
I think it's only 6 or 8, 9 episodes. It's not so much.
Oh, it's a series.
Yeah, it's just a one season series.
Cool.
But yeah, coming back to the podcasts, I love listening to podcasts. It's funny, even before I had this idea to do this, which was 5-6 years ago, the first idea. At that time, I only really listened to Joe Rogan, and now I don't really listen to him anymore. I think I really like his format that he gets all kinds of people on the podcast, and I liked that idea. I like to talk to people from everywhere. I think everyone has a story, and that's really cool. But right now, it's so weird that the majority I listen to like 4 podcasts, and 3 of them are comedians. You know?
Oh, okay.
They're just comedy podcasts, which is crazy because this has nothing to do with that. I don't think of myself as like very funny, but it's just entertaining to listen to in the background.
Yeah. So you don't need to like focus on it too much or anything.
No, they're just kind of talking shit and with different guests, and it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah. Me and my friends, we discussed like doing a bit of a podcast, but it never really like went. It didn't go all the way. Interestingly though, like I joined on like a graduate scheme at my company. Someone in my like cohort, he started doing like something similar. Like we didn't talk about it or anything. He just like naturally just did it. We'd basically get a coffee with like someone like senior, whether it's my company or like other companies that we work with, etc., and just like highlight the key points of what they're talking about. And it kind of blew up actually, like on LinkedIn, which things can blow up on LinkedIn. I found out. So yeah, I think he did quite well. Like when he was like properly consistent with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I told him like, oh, that's crazy, like you did that, because me and my friends we were chatting about doing like a podcast version of something similar. So yeah, no, I'm glad he did that, because it's actually it seems quite good to do something like that actually, even like for you to do something like this.
What were you talking about doing with your friends?
It'd just be like, I guess when I was wrapping up with uni, a lot of people would apply to a lot of jobs, and a lot of them there's just like you pick like an industry or a sector or something related to your degree, and you just apply because you're just desperate for a job. And sometimes you don't really know what the day-to-day of that job is, firstly. And the second thing is like no one really knows the ladder that you can climb or the opportunities that come out of having a certain role. So it's just about getting people who have done that journey to just basically talk about like their story, their career path, and why they took certain decisions to move away from one like potential career ladder to go to another one. or why they might have switched professions completely, what they liked or didn't like about a certain job, or manage it, or like going about managing people. Because at some point, we're like if you're in the corporate world, you're gonna have to manage someone at some point, right? So just things like that, which I personally like. It's always things that I questioned, but I never knew like you can Google as much as you want, but sometimes you don't always find the answers that in the way that you're looking for.
Mhm.
So just something a little bit like that.
Well, I think that is very true of anything, you know. You don't really know what you're getting into until you go and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like we've learned that through traveling more than anything. People would tell you, everyone has their own idea about what the world is, you know.
Mhm.
That's definitely very influenced by what we see in the media.
Yeah,
And
we had a chat about this, didn't we?
yeah, and you're just not
Yeah.
going to know until you actually go and see it, you know.
What's been the most surprising country for you where you had one perception and then you go there and it's like the complete opposite? Whether it's good or bad, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, One country that I was really taken aback by, I would say, I'm trying to think of like countries that I had an idea about, because there were a few countries like um in this last episode I just mentioned to my friend about Bosnia.
Yeah.
Um, I think Bosnia is a really interesting country, and it's very, very cultural in
Mm.
Sarajevo. Um, but I didn't know anything about Bosnia before I went, you know,
Right, right.
and going there and learning about the people and their stories, and it is really interesting to see.
Mm.
I felt that with all of the Balkans. The first time I was there in Serbia,
Yeah.
I didn't know I didn't know
Yeah.
it was a part of the EU. I didn't know.
Right.
I thought I had the idea that it was a Muslim country,
Okay.
um, and it's not. It's an
Yeah.
Orthodox country that's not in the EU.
Yeah.
Really, really beautiful people, helpful people,
Yeah.
really kind, and one of the most bombed places in the last 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Belgrade. Um, so there are small countries like that that really surprised me.
Mm.
I think with going to South America, the whole continent, we are painted this picture that, oh, it's a really super dangerous place. You know, you're gonna go there and you're gonna get robbed or
Yeah.
killed or something crazy, and you go there, and yes, of course those things can happen, but you understand when you're there that is not the reality of the day to day in South America, you
Yeah.
know.
100%. Yeah.
That does not represent the majority of people. Latinos are the most, you know, in my experience, the most hospitable people,
Mm.
welcoming, lovely. You know, everyone wants to just show you their culture. They want you to see the best of their culture. They don't want you
100%.
to have a bad experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Did you
Interesting.
have did you have any perceptions of Peru that you were surprised by when we went?
So like initially I didn't so this whole thing where you mentioned like the media giving a perception. I think that's always been the case of like India and Asia. Not just India actually, even like the Middle East, etc. So my dad works in the Middle East, so he would sometimes tell me bits about like Saudi Arabia, for example, right? So I think by the point I was coming to Peru, I was kind of already like, I'm just gonna not have any expectations.
Mhm.
And also because Peru is quite driven by tourism, I knew it, there could only be so much like dangerous stuff um, and all of that out there. Because like you got, like the Machu Picchu stuff. You've got we went to Wakachina, which is quite nice as well. You've got the like the volcanoes that go off around that ring as well, the Ring of Fire as they call it. So I didn't really have any crazy perceptions. The only time I was a bit worried was when before I met you, I was in Lima for that one night, and I booked I booked like a little hostel for booking.com. But then when I just like read about it online, everyone was just like, the area around Lima airport's dangerous. Like, don't walk around at night if you're a tourist. So I booked myself into like a nice hotel because I literally did not. When I said I had no expectations, I had no expectations. But then it doesn't mean like I thought everyone was going to be completely friendly either, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for that one night, I was a bit like, all right, I'm just gonna play it safe. I'll meet you, and then like we'll figure it out together. So, and because I knew you had experience around South America, I wasn't too worried once I like met you. But to be fair, once I landed in Cusco, I felt so much more like free, for example. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because I took so we met at the little hostel. But to get from the airport to the hostel, I took a taxi, and people were just like walking around like normal. And it was my first time actually seeing daylight in Peru because I landed at night, stayed the night, and then got the plane the next day. So, and like it just seemed like a normal place where people were happy. They weren't worried about the stuff which sometimes is pushed about South America, for example. You saw kids going to school. They wear nice alpaca wool jumpers and stuff like that. So, like people are just happy in their own region. They're not. One thing I really liked about parts of Peru, in India, like Meghalaya and all that, is that people, they're not pushing to get a bigger house, a nicer car, like become financially well off. They're just happy in their own life.
Yeah.
And they're not worried about they're not worried about where they're gonna put food on the table. That's like a different demographic. But it's just like we have what we have and we're happy about it. We're comfortable. We celebrate the good stuff and we work on the bad stuff, and that's fine. There's no like, I'm saving up to do this. I need to get a loan to get a car. I need to save X amount to make sure I buy like a PlayStation. All of this kind of stuff. It's not very money motivated. Let's put it that way. It's just more like I've got a nice life and I'm happy about
Yeah, I think they tend to take things for granted a lot less.
it. But yeah, I guess that's just the way like different people grow up and the different cultures we grow up in, and things like that. So yeah, in terms of a perception, I didn't really have like any weird perception about Peru or anything. I knew enough people travel there, so I knew it wasn't going to be like crazy dangerous or anything. Obviously, you do watch your YouTube videos before you land somewhere just to get an idea of the the atmosphere, for example. So yeah, and even before I went back to the UK, we walked around Lima a little bit. We went to the market. We walked along the coastline, for example, and like it's just a normal place. Like maybe we're a bit blind to the dangers as tourists. I don't know, or like the day-to-day dodgy stuff that goes on or whatever. Sure, but
I mean, we did also stay in like the the nicer area of,
yeah, there's that as well. Yeah. But yeah, like I wasn't really like I didn't really have any crazy perceptions.
yeah, no, it was really cool. It was really cool. The only thing was that we were constantly getting hounded for things, people wanted to sell us a tour or us a taxis.
Yeah.
I understand it was a difficult time for them. They needed the tourism,
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I think that happens in a lot of places. Like, did that not happen in other parts of South America?
the only place that it really happened, a few bus terminals here and there.
Okay, fine. Oh yeah. I remember that.
But other
Yeah.
than that, the only other place I can think of really was in San Pedro de Atacama. and then again a little bit in Colombia. It was kind of,
Okay.
but it's not really so common in Argentina and Bolivia, not so much.
Mm.
Paraguay, there's no tourists in Paraguay.
Okay. Fine. It
Nothing.
happens. Okay, I'd say it happened a lot in India. I think it's calmed down a lot now.
Mhm.
Because I think like tourism has increased and things like that. But people will still like if you're looking for like an auto, so like a rickshaw, basically, people like they don't just let you come up to them. They just like come here, like just like, I'll take you to wherever you need to go. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say it's like all that like not haggling, but the people like calling you to like their shops and stuff like that. It's reduced quite a bit now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I was just used to it though. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
You actually just before when you were talking about the border between India and Bangladesh, you
yeah,
reminded me of a story that I wanted to tell. Not long before I met you, I was in Lake Titicaca, got crossing between Bolivia and Peru,
right.
and that is an unmanned border.
Okay.
So people are just walking between them, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
walking between Peru and Bolivia, and
crazy.
there you have to go between. You have to go inside the offices to
Yeah,
go get your passport stamped on both sides.
right, right. Interesting. Yeah.
So I've never seen a border quite as free as that.
Hmm.
You know, people
There
like
is there is one in USA, Canada, where I know relationships are much more friendlier over there, but you have to go and like self-declare that you cross the border and they'll stamp your passport or something. But this Lake Titicaca, is it like a salt flat?
no, it's not a salt flat.
You said
Like
you had to like walk across there, right?
walk across the border.
Oh, okay, okay, fine, got you.
So it's just this. I mean, the places right next to the borders are just small towns.
Okay,
So I guess it's not really a problem for people to just cross back and forth.
fine, nice.
Um, but yeah, no, that was a really surprising experience.
Mm,
I've never seen anywhere quite like that. Like
okay,
I know they exist, like you're saying
yeah.
in the US where you have to go and self-report,
Mm,
but this place is. I would have thought there would have been more control because um, of the disparity between Peru and Bolivia.
I see. Okay,
That I would have thought that they would just naturally be more control, but no.
got you. Yeah. Where's just a random question. Where would you say you had the best food experience?
The best food experience. I always go back and say Argentina because I
Yeah.
think as traveling as a vegetarian
Mm,
sometimes is complicated. I mean, we pretty much where we went, we
yeah.
always managed to find a veggie restaurant. I
Yeah.
believe in every place we found a
100%.
veggie restaurant.
That was something before I flew out, my mama asked me about, and I was just like, I'll figure it out when I'm there. I was actually really surprised that there was so many veggie and vegan options
Mhm.
in South America. Yeah, I just didn't think like they really cared. Not in a bad way. I just didn't think it was part of their thing.
They, I, I mean, I think that the general person, the average person, doesn't really care.
Mm,
But if you, I think it's something they really respect. If you tell
right.
them these are your needs, you don't
Yeah.
eat meat, you
Mm,
don't eat animal products, they will respect that. They might
nice.
not understand why you do it, but they will respect it. But
Fair enough.
it was really surprising to me that I think in Peru, in every place we went to, we found at least one veggie
Oh,
place.
100%. Yeah, yeah. But it was good food as well. It wasn't like a veg option for the sake of it. It actually tasted good.
No, it wasn't just pizzas or veggie
Mm,
burgers.
yeah.
You know, we managed to find. Do you remember the rocoto relleno?
Was it the vegan stuffed pepper and
Yeah, they're really hot.
yeah, that was good. We went twice. I remember that one. It was so good. That
Yeah.
was in Arequipa.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was good.
Yeah, there were, and that was the other nice thing that because people tell us, well, Peruvian cuisine is considered to be one of the best in the world.
Right.
I don't know if I would quite agree with that ranking.
I've never heard of that actually.
It, you know that the best restaurants in the world are in Lima.
Oh no way.
I think it
Well,
has
as in
two of the top 10.
who like is this some official ranking or something?
Yeah, I don't know who does the ranking, but
Fair enough.
like two of the best restaurants in the world, maybe two of the top five even
Yeah.
are in yeah. Uh,
Crazy.
so to be able to try some of the more traditional dishes
Yeah.
uh, as a vegetarian version, it was really
Yeah.
nice.
Even the acai.
Mm. It's from
Well, I
Brazil.
don't. It's from Brazil. They're actually trying doing the one like in London now. Like,
There are heaps in London.
yeah, yeah. I know. To be fair, I didn't really know about them until I tried it in Peru. But that was good actually. I really like that.
They are so good, but
Yeah,
outside of Brazil is so
yeah,
expensive. I mean, even in Lima, if we were paying like for the big cups, it was like
yeah,
10 a cup.
yeah. It was expensive. I do remember. Yeah,
But in London, I think you're paying 15 to 20 pounds for sure.
I'll let you know. I'll go try it and let you know.
Yeah, man, that
Yeah,
was good. No, I love acai. Acai is so good.
that's how it's good. Yeah, decent, decent. Yeah, Peru. Yeah. So I don't know what the original question was, to be honest.
You asked me where about the food.
No, no, no. How we even got onto that? Oh, perceptions. That was it. Perceptions. I had no perceptions of Peru. I just, because yeah, as I said, like I know the media perception of India was just like, and it still is to some extent, where obviously being Indian, you hear a lot of good and bad things about India.
Mhm.
But then from like, if you watch something like the BBC, everything is just shit. Am I not to swear on this?
Yeah, yeah, go.
Yeah, everything's just shit like in India. Um, so it was good to like I kind of had that whole like the media isn't no, a country isn't always what the media portray it to be like
Mhm.
idea of it basically. So yeah, that's why I didn't really form an idea of what Peru was gonna be like. So yeah. No, it's good. Machu Picchu was class.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a magical place.
Yeah.
So, just going back to that, you made me think of something else I wanted to ask you. So, when you go and visit India, how connected do you feel? Like, sometimes do you feel very disconnected and removed, or do you feel like because you have continued to visit so much, you never really lost the cultural connection?
The cultural not really. Sometimes I question it. Because I'm just like, what? The question I generally ask is, why are we doing this? And they'll say something, and to me, I'm just like, does it really matter? Like, it's not. I wouldn't say that's a symptom of me growing up here. I think it's just a symptom of like a modern, like, just people thinking more logically as opposed to more culturally.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
give an example of what you mean? Sorry.
Yeah. So my mom, for example, she would be like, we do this, and like it generates positive vibrations as we sing and chant these things, and it puts our mind into like a more peaceful state, things like that, or like and I'm just like do I care? Like it sounds a bit rude, right? But I understand, like she says there's like a science to it, right? And I'm just like, has it been proven? Like that's my first question. And I'm not talking about like a religious that like it could be religious, whatever it could be, right? I'm not saying I'm not answering I'm not asking the question, is God real? I'm just saying like this specific like cultural thing we're doing, or this like meditation thing we're doing, like, you know, it's happened for hundreds of years, sure, but like, do I really? do I really need to do this? Basically, I'd rather go and watch YouTube. I'd rather go chill with my cousins, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of that, I'm not disconnected from it because I know it happens. I don't necessarily participate in it. So when I go to India and I see it happening, I'm not surprised by it at all. And I'll join in, just like, I'm not gonna be a rebel in front of like the entire family. Okay? Like in front of my parents, calm. But yeah. So that side of it, no. The language, honestly, it takes me like 1 or 2 days to adjust a little bit, and then everything will flow. But I need that 2 days. So I do speak it at home a little bit. So I speak Kannada, that's my mother tongue. I can also speak another language called Telugu, and then I can understand Hindi, but I can't really speak it, basically. I don't really use Hindi that much, especially in South India. Telugu and Kannada, I do use it, right? So when I land in Bangalore, we speak Kannada, and it takes me like a couple of days just to hear everyone speak it, and then I can properly start responding to it. Telugu, I don't know why I find it a lot more easier to speak it. It's actually more complicated to say the words, but I watch a lot of the movies where they speak Telugu, so like I'm more in touch with it in that way, if that makes sense. So that's the second aspect of it. So I don't find it a foreign thing, the language or the culture. The family stuff, like, so the cousins. This is the thing with India, is like you can find people who are as modern as us, are like live the lives that we do, basically. They've got access to like everything we do, if not more, basically, right? And then you also find people who are from the villages, and they might have like they'll have phones and internet, obviously, but the way they grow up is a lot different, and it's not easy to always connect with each and every, like, I want to say demographic, if that makes sense. So I've got some cousins in Bangalore, and I connect with them very well. And they'll follow like stuff which I don't even follow, like American like celebrity drama and like stuff like that, right? Like I wouldn't have even heard of some of these actors or
Yeah.
singers, or right. Or like the music they listen to is not my style of music, but it's like it'll be like band music from America and things like that, which I'm not. I just don't listen to that music. That's, you know, that's kind of what it is. So like those are the cousins that go on my trips with, to like Meghalaya, to Goa, and it's all good. And then you'll find cousins, and there's going to be like age differences and stuff like that, but it's more of like an innocent relationship, I guess. Where sometimes like I do struggle to like find things to say sometimes. And like I can't speak the languages on like a deep level, right? So this conversation we're having right now, and maybe this one here, but for like if we're doing like an hour and a half podcast in like Kannada or Telugu, I probably couldn't keep up and say everything I wanted to say.
Okay.
So there's only so much I can say to my family about my life in the UK before like they can't understand it, and I don't have the words to explain it to them. And like they might not be able to speak or understand English as well. So then that creates I don't want to say a barrier, but it just creates a problem in trying to explain what I'm trying to say sometimes.
Yeah.
So quite often, if I'm with my parents, they'll explain it to them a little bit better. If I'm not with my parents, it's just left as that, basically.
Yeah.
But I think with like, for example, like Instagram and stuff like that, like just the internet, it allows them to see my life here a little bit more. I see their lives a little bit more as well. So just helps that connection a little bit more. So to answer your original question, like I don't find myself feeling I'm in like a foreign place when I go to India. Also, like I remember this quite well because I was quite impressed about myself. I went to basically pick up like a load of medicines like for my parents back in the UK. So it's stuff which you can find over the counter in India, and it's perfectly legal in the UK. But in the UK, you need a prescription for every little minor tablet, right? So I went to pick up like a load of medicines, and I was just talking to the guy, and then eventually I had my flight later that day, and he said like I can get it delivered for like tomorrow. I was just like, I got to go back to like my hometown. And then eventually he asked me like, where are you from? And I kind of told him I'm from London. And he said like, really, like I could never tell from like your accent the way you speak and things like that. At that point, I was like, I'm actually quite happy that I'm able to hold a conversation with someone from India, and they're not able to realize like I'm from the UK, or I've literally grown up for 20 years in the UK and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To answer the question, no, I wouldn't say there's like a big gap. There are times when my cousins do stuff together, and I'm like, I really wish I was part of that. But that's just the way life is, like, you know. So yeah.
Okay, so if I were to ask you a question, I don't know if this is something that you think about or you would say this, but do you feel more British than Indian then?
It's a good question. I, yeah, I think I would. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think in the way I like interact with people and things like that. Yeah. Um, but then here's the thing: like, I also consume like Indian like media, like movies and music and like cultural stuff and things like that. But then I also watch like UK movies and TV shows, and I grew up here, right? So I watch like, and obviously people in India watch football as well. But you grow up playing football in the school playgrounds and
Yeah.
things like that. But then I also watch the equivalent of that is cricket in India, and I
Yeah.
grew up playing cricket as well. So, so yeah, I mean, I'll probably, yeah, I guess it's really hard to explain.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess it really depends on like different aspects of life. Maybe if I was like born here and I barely went to India, it would be like a definitive yes.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
but because I go back like I'd say like relatively to everyone else like regularly. Um, yeah, is that whole spectrum of like Britishness and like Asian or Indian or whatever. It
Mhm.
starts coming down to like the middle sometimes. And honestly, like I'll go through phases. There'll be like a 3 month phase where all I watch is Indian music, Indian TV shows, Indian movies, and there'll be like another 3 month phase where all I watch is like English or American shows and things like that. So yeah, yeah. Well, I've got a British passport, so legally,
And you don't have an Indian
legally, I feel British.
But for example, because your brother was born in the UK,
Yeah,
so he would. Do you think he would say a definitive yes, is that he feels more British than Indian?
I think I think he joked like I think it was said in a jokey way, but yes. But then that also comes from like he also like would come regularly to India, so it's
Yeah,
not like he's completely out of it. He can't speak the languages like fluently, or like his language doesn't flow um as well as mine does when I speak in one of the Indian languages. So, but he also does listen to like the Indian music and watches the
yeah.
shows, things like that.
You told me
But
that he and your mum went and lived there for a year or two, no?
yeah, back in 2012, 2013,
Yeah.
they lived there. Um, so yeah, I don't think he remembers too much of it, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know like there is a huge cultural change between like the schools. I'm pretty sure. Um, maybe not in terms of the attitudes, but in terms of what like people find funny, or what a prank is, or like what is classed as like messing around. Um, for example, I think there's a difference between that. So, I don't know. I feel like he's more comfortable here,
Yeah.
generally. I don't have that thing of like I'm more comfortable in the UK, I'm more comfortable in India, things like that. It might be different if I went out to live in India. You know, because I only spend maximum a month in India. That's why I'm comfortable, because
Yeah.
everyone's like making sure I'm well looked after and I'm not getting too ill. There's all that like
Take care of you.
yeah, there's all of that, right? There's all the pampering that goes on. So I don't. it might be different if I start living out there, for example, and having to look out for myself a bit more.
And this is another question I wanted to ask. Is
Yeah.
this something that you could see yourself doing in the future?
I can't see myself living in India. If I was to live in India, it would have to be a big city. Like that's it. There's no, I could never live in a smaller city, mainly for just like culture, language, and like me and you, we both grew up near a big city, not obviously not directly in a big city. But then obviously like I go into London to work like every pretty much, well, 3 or 4 days a week, basically, right? So it's just the what I'm used to. It's not because I don't think I'm, it's more like the types of jobs that I would look at if I did move to India would only be in big cities and things like that. So I wouldn't like put it as a definitive no, but I don't see myself doing it.
Not something you're particularly interested in doing, you don't feel?
Not really. There's no reason for it. It's just like I go, fairly often, I guess. If I did move for a job, it would be more to experience a different culture and a way of living and working.
Yeah.
Not really to be like closer to family or anything like that. You know. So like I like in this country, like it's only like me, my dad, my brother, and my mom. Like we don't have like cousins and things like that here. There have been like relatives that have started to move out. So I have like a cousin in Sweden, for example. But it's more like more recently, not since the time I was here that they were also here.
Mhm.
Or you'll have like relatives, but they're not close relatives, they're distant relatives, and they're related to you because like your dad's cousins, someone else got married, and through that family, like it's gone up through the family tree, and then that family, so it'll be like that. So I've never had that thing of like I need to be close to my family and stuff like that because I've never like experienced it. If that makes sense.
You've always been just that close unit since you've been there in the UK. You've been the four of you.
Yeah. Like I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like it's not like we had a. It's not like we intentionally like didn't talk to a cousin that was in the UK, right? So, and like I call my grandparents like every weekend, basically. So that I like that connection will always be there, but I wouldn't move to India for the sake like for family, basically. Um, but it might be nicer to like so like when my dad lived out in Dubai and Saudi Arabia and all that, he really enjoyed it because it was always like a 3.5 hour flight away from his family.
Mhm.
And obviously he grew up there, so he's got a lot more connections, a lot more friends, obviously like his mom and things like that. So, you can kind of like what we do when we go on like European holidays, you take a Friday and a Monday off. You go for 4 days and you've covered like a good amount. You've had a nice holiday, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of what he did sometimes. He'd take like a Friday and a Monday or a Tuesday off, take a 3 hour flight on an evening, and then he's got four full days to spend with his family and friends in India, and he'll come back. So like maybe something like that would be quite nice. But it's thinking well into the future.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
you still have things to do in the UK and
100%.
experience to build before you get to that point.
Yeah. I've got a question for you. Um,
Yeah.
hopefully not too controversial. So when you ask me a question like, do you feel more British or Indian? Would you like people who have immigrated to the UK to say like I feel more British or like something like that?
Do I want other people to say that?
Yeah, not in like a like patriotic way, but it's like, would you think that people would feel more British if they'd like lived here and grown up here and things like that?
The- I don't I don't have any particular feeling surrounding it. It's more just curiosity at the end of the day.
Yeah, fair
Having
enough, right?
having not had that experience as an being an immigrant, so young in my life. I
Yeah,
grew up in the UK, and
Mm.
I started my immigration experience at the age of 19, leaving the UK.
Yeah.
So it is really interesting to me, like specifically how you say that you're from London. You know, that's you consider yourself to be from the UK
Yeah.
more than from India. So yeah, it's something because I come across people like that here in Canada as well,
Mm.
where sometimes I ask where they're from or are they from here, and they say yes, I'm from here, and then we talk a little bit, and then they start talking about their family,
Yeah.
their respective countries.
Mm.
It's like, okay, so I mean, I knew, but I'm not just gonna
Yeah, directly ask you.
really from here, you know.
Yeah.
Because I respect people the way people identify. I just find it very curious how people think and feel
Mm.
about those things. And cultural identity is a very, you know, everyone has their own experience. Some people have very traumatic experiences, you know. I understand that equally there would be someone in your position who has spent who might have had a very similar experience to you but not
Yeah.
feel at all British. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. True.
there are people who just might never really connect with the cultures that they move to, that they never integrate, they never really adopt that identity.
Got you. Got you.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I do find it helps with like London because it's so diverse and so multicultural. You kind of you're not really far away from your like root culture, if that makes sense. Like you can always find people from all over the world, and you know if they're from a different culture, you can learn about theirs. If they're from your culture, and then you can discuss them all. So you never really like you can't you don't have you're never in a position where you're forced to distance yourself
mhm.
from like your culture, like back from your roots, etc. Interestingly, though, when I did go to Malaysia and things like that, or Sri Lanka, we'd always say we're from India, but then we'd say we're basically like we're from London, but we're originally from India.
Yeah,
Um, and then like they'd ask like more about your India side of things, like where are you from in India? Can you speak this and stuff like that? So, but then when I went to Croatia, so I went a couple of months ago, people ask where we're from, and we're just like London. Like we don't mention like the India bit. So there's no reason for it, to be honest. It's just as and when people ask, you know, sometimes at work people say like where are you from? And you never know whether they mean like where do you live or like where are you from. So I just generally start off by saying like I live in Amersham or something like that.
yeah.
And then if they say like no, like originally, then I'll like go into more detail.
I
But
mean, I think, yeah, it's because it is a different question in the UK, I think.
yeah.
Sometimes innocently, sometimes less innocently.
Mm.
It depends on the context, it depends on the person at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. But but yeah. No, it's good. I like knowing both sides of like the British values and stuff as well as the Indian culture and all of that. But I also think it's not I don't deep these things to be honest. It's just the way people live their lives.
Mhm.
And there's probably so much good stuff about the way people live their lives all over the world. Um so it's never for me it's like, okay, fine, like I grew up here, I'm from India, cool. But then nothing's stopping me from living a life the way they live it in Africa, for example, or the way they live it in South America. And then it's just I think it's just up to you to like see if that kind of lifestyle suits you and then to implement it into your own sort of thing. And then you know, you just live your life. Like no one you know, no one really needs to question it, no one really needs to bother about it. I feel like this whole like identity thing sometimes gets taken a bit too far.
Mm.
I'm not sure about you, but it's just like a general feeling I get sometimes.
In what way do you feel like he gets taken too far?
It's like, like at the end of the day, it's probably deepening it a bit too much, but we all just live on this big blue planet, right? And we've all just got a load of land, and we've drawn our own borders on it. We've put our own fences on it, and all of that. If you literally take all of that down and just live the life the way you want it, you don't need to worry about like, I'm from this country and we follow this culture and we do it like this. It's just right. You do that. That's cool. That might be cool. That's cool enough for me to try out. If I like it, I'll keep doing it. If I don't like it, I won't do it. And that, I feel like it would just be so much more nicer if everyone just did that. And like, I think that's something that's just good about living in like a big city like London, where you have so many different people, is because they'll tell you about their lifestyle and the way they did certain stuff, or the way they grew up. And then it just might be something like, I'm not saying every single conversation with someone from a different culture to you is gonna lead to you trying to do different stuff. But like the one odd thing that someone might say might really stand out to you, and then you can put it into your own life. And the worst case scenario is you've just had a good chat with someone, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you've had a shit chat and you never talk to them again. But that's fine as well.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. You never know what you're gonna learn from a person.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, to be fair, like even at work, people will ask me about like my culture back in India and things like that. I'm very happy to tell them about it, and it's all good fun. And they'll ask like, do you go to the temple in this place? Because they might know a temple, for example.
Yeah.
So like there's no like, I've never been in a situation where I'm like afraid to say like my experiences in India. I'm worried about if I'm coming across as like too Indian or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with cultural identity, I can see both sides. Because I 100% agree. We were all born in this world, and the boundaries, the countries, the borders, they were all drawn by a very select few white imperialists at the end of the day. That is how the world works, these invisible lines were drawn by the people who once ruled the world. So I think it is sad. I think it is sad that because of that, so many people will never have the opportunities that we have, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I know that wasn't exactly the point that we were talking about.
No. But yeah.
I think it's important to enjoy things about our own cultures, but I think there's also a line. I think it's something that I think is a big thing in Sweden. I think it is. When you ask a Swede about like national pride, they talk about that. Like, why would I be proud about where I'm born? We didn't.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get this completely, man. People go like, I'm proud to be like, I'll just okay, you know what? I'll say like, I'm proud to be British, right? Forget everything about like, I know some people be like, I'm proud to be British. Others will be like, I'm not proud because of history or whatever. I just don't care. I'm just like, I was born out of this by pure luck. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do anything to make myself proud of the work that I did or something like that. I didn't get here because of some work I did previously. It's by pure luck. So I don't know how I can be proud to be Indian or British or like whatever. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I see it. Yeah, I know that the UK, the England, the British Empire did a lot of bad things. I know I can't live my life thinking about that. I know they did a lot of good things.
Yeah,
and they're great. I enjoy those things. I enjoy the music. I enjoy our sense of humor.
Yeah.
I enjoy our language. But to say that I'm proud to be from that country, no, I'm not proud to be. I'm proud to be the person that I am today. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm proud to have had the experiences to have gone and done the things that I've done. I'm proud of the things that I've achieved, but I'm not.
Yeah, and that comes from you being brave enough or putting the work in to go and do those things, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but then being born into a culture is like it's just luck.
I I don't think that is. I think that is. It's a very strange concept to
Yeah.
me. You
I
know.
think the only way it makes sense to me is the people in the cult it's by people in cultures that are looked down on. And they're like, no, I'm proud to be this. Like I get
Yeah.
it from that context, but like in a general way where they're just like, oh no, I'm proud to be German or French or like I don't know, like you know what I'm trying Australian, like
Yeah.
uh Indian, like whatever. Yeah, yeah. It's just like a
You're proud
I don't really understand
to be privileged.
it. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I also there are a lot of things that I don't like about the UK and
Mm.
the monarchy, a very
Yeah.
evident one. And for some reason, there seems to be a very controversial opinion that I have that we shouldn't have a monarchy
Yeah.
in
You
2020.
see what happened in Australia?
Yeah, I know. I was so happy to see it. You're not our king. Yeah, damn
Yeah.
right. Damn right. Just speaking facts. Just speaking absolute facts.
Yeah.
And then some people get upset about that when they see these things. This lady went and insulted the king. Uh, she just told the truth at the end of the day,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
people denying that. Someone I shared that to my story, and someone started messaging me
Right.
about like but people from the UK and people are feeling ashamed to be white, and it's like this has nothing to. I don't feel ashamed to be white, because I don't
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
in the same way I don't feel pride about being born a white British person.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to deny that those things didn't happen.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, the UK, the British Empire went and invaded a bunch of the world. They went and killed a bunch of the indigenous population. To
Mm.
say that them doing that made the world a better place, I don't know. You can't say if it's better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
They went
Exactly.
and killed a bunch of innocent people.
Yeah. At the end
That
of
is
the
a
day,
fact.
that's what happened.
That's what
Yeah.
happened. We live in a more globalized world than they did in that time. That's also a
Mm.
fact. But can you say that if the world hadn't become globalized and people, just lived in their own traditional lives for this whole time, would the world be a better place?
No,
We
who
don't know.
knows?
It would
Yeah.
be a different place.
Yeah. You can't put a there's no science to it.
No, there's
Yeah.
no right. There are things
Yeah,
that
there's a bit of right and wrong, but
there's a little bit of right and wrong. But it's not for me. It's not a case of like I feel ashamed to be from the UK.
yeah, yeah.
I'm from the UK. It's where I'm from. I can't change the place that I was born.
No, of
That's
course not. And also like even whatever did happen in the past, it's not your fault as well.
no. I know it's not
Yeah.
my fault. Oh, my camera. But I think that we also, on the other side of that, we do have a social responsibility
Mm.
to understand and know about some of the things that happened.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you you were um at any point, but I especially when we were together at school, I never learned about the British Empire.
This is a scary thing that in the UK we are not taught about any of that
Yeah.
history.
I only found out through like my parents, basically. Um, yeah. And then obviously after like just over time, like people say stuff and then you find out more and more. And then like when the Black Lives Matter movement started, um you just find out more and more and like things like that. But I did see this petition online which was like force the government to put in the like British empire into the education system or something like
Would love to see it.
that. Yeah,
Good luck
but
with
yeah.
that.
Did you hear about the like the Commonwealth? What do you call it? There's like a big meeting with all the Commonwealth leaders, and some of the countries want their reparations now and things like that.
As they should ask for those things, you know.
Yeah.
I think the Commonwealth,
Mm.
the term Commonwealth is really crazy considering what it is. It's a few countries out of 50 odd who share
Yeah.
the majority of the wealth, and the other countries are just kind of there, you know. They don't really get any real benefits.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah. But these are like, when I was saying like, when you asked me the question, do I feel like a bit of distance when I go to India, like culturally and things like that.
Mhm.
So this is another thing. Maybe this is just me. Like in the UK, I also don't care either. So like I told you about sometimes like there'll be my mum will ask me to do something and I'm just questioning why. But like deep down I really don't care. And I'll just do it just because my mum asked me to, right? But it's the same in the UK as well. There'll be just certain things which I just don't care. So like about the British monarchy, so you've got a pretty strong stance on it, right? For me, I just don't care. Like they can do whatever they want as long as they're not taking. But I know they are taking money on my tax for it, but like I just don't care. Like they can, if they want to keep their king and all that, good for them, right? But I just don't care.
I just think that is more out of principles, like they're um it's too much wealth and power for one family to have gone into. They own
Right.
so much of the land of the
Mm.
whole world.
Yeah.
I don't think those things are just.
Right.
When you see so much, there is so much poverty in the UK and
Yeah.
in the rest of the Commonwealth. If we're talking about realistically the other countries that are affected, then yeah, I
It can be
think
distributed, right?
it should be redistributed. It should
Yeah.
be
Yeah, that's true.
distributed.
Yeah.
I think that all the palaces should be turned into public housing. No. I do have very extreme view. Well, I don't see them as particularly extreme, but I also don't see an easy solution. So
Yeah, like there is one view which I have. I don't think it's controversial or extreme. I just think this is what would happen. So, um, there's this diamond called the Kohinoor, which was gifted by uh by the Indians, or I guess at the time, like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they were all like one country, right? So I'm gonna call it India, but when I say it, I mean all of them together. And it's now part of the crown jewels. Okay. And India, as well as like Pakistan, I'm pretty sure Bangladesh have been asking for the diamond back, right? I'm actually in a position where I think it's better the diamond stays here, purely because the politics surrounding that diamond, when if it does go back to a certain country in that region, is going to be crazy.
because because it was three countries together in one,
It's
and
not just three. I think there's more that are claimed. I think Afghanistan claim it as well.
oh really?
Yeah, because like I think because I think the diamond's been around for a long, long time and it's been passed around like
Yeah.
through that region, like the South Asia sort of Middle East region. So I think there's a lot of people that claim to it. So it for that specific like case, I'd rather it just sit here. Yeah. But
But
I know it's different to what you were saying, and I do get it. I do get it.
but there is also the thing of there would be a lot of other instances where this is also the case, where artifacts would have been taken from countries which might have been together at the time but have since separated. And then I imagine there's a lot of those artifacts, namely in the British Museum, the
Yeah.
Museum of Stolen Artifacts, that a lot of countries would probably dispute. Though,
yeah, I'm sure there are.
and then people do also say about, well, you don't know where the item would be if it went back to the country. It might just be like with the president or something. And I understand there is a level of preservation,
Yeah.
but to be just have all of these things from all over the world, I don't know. It's a really, again, no easy solution.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think on that note, we'll end here. So before we end, and I ask you the 3 questions I have for you. Do you have any more questions you want to throw at me?
Any more? Firstly, when are you coming back to the UK?
My friend just asked me when I'm gonna go visit her in Australia. So probably next year I'll pop by for a visit.
Fair enough. Good stuff. I did have this other question which has magically popped out of my head, which is really annoying. Oh yeah, this is, what's a culture / country that seems the most intriguing to you? And this is not the same question as what's the next country on your list.
Intriguing. I think I might be inclined to say China.
China.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
A very big country and with a lot of history.
Yeah.
Lots of different cultures, similar to India in that respect. That,
Yeah.
you know, it's so big and divided by so many regions.
Probably another one where there's a big media portrayal on it, but no, I don't really know how accurate that is.
Yes, it's definitely a country that I would love to go and I want to visit one day. I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know how. I don't know where.
Yeah.
But the Great Wall of China as well. Seeing that.
Yeah.
I have to check all of the the wonders of the world off as well.
So, yeah, no, that'd be good fun.
Maybe we'll have to meet up in for the Taj Mahal.
China.
And in China,
yeah.
So probably China.
Yeah, good stuff. No, that was my question.
Okay, so now I will throw my last 3 questions at you.
Sure.
So the question from the last guest was, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be working on? What would be your project? Your life project?
I would want to build a car and then just go on road trips and travel through that with that car, basically. And because money isn't an issue, if anything happens to the car, I can easily get it repaired as I keep traveling. So just basically make a car and do a massive road trip around the world. And then money isn't an issue, right? So then you can obviously fly it to places and then drive it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be like my big thing because I like traveling, as you know. And then I also like my airplanes and my cars and that sort of stuff as well. So it would be good to combine both of them together and just see the world in that way.
Yeah. Would you build it from the ground up?
I mean, obviously, like there's certain stuff which like you need to just buy in completely, but it's more just putting everything together is what I'm trying to say. So like, I'm not gonna make an engine by myself, but you'd have like the main chassis, the tires, and all that, and the engine, and it's just putting together all the like, additional pieces, and add a little cheeky turbo in there, stuff like that. So yeah, just modifying it to how I'd want it to be. And just drive that way, basically. No, that'd be good fun, I think.
And just drive around the whole world.
Yeah, why not?
Would you pick up hitchhikers?
Oh man, it depends what country. I was actually listening to like, it wasn't a podcast, but it was just like a little video about like serial killers, basically. And it's something like, of all the of all the like developed like countries, I guess, America by far has the worst like homicide rates. maybe not in America, but yeah, maybe other places depend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Did you answer that question?
What would I want to?
If money wasn't an issue.
If money wasn't in it.
I mean, you're sort of doing that, aren't you?
Kind of. I mean, money is an issue though. So I wish I could live. I wish that I wasn't so concerned about money in my travels. Because I met people who are just free and just float. Not that they have a lot of money, but they just make it work. You know.
Oh, I love their bravery.
It's incredible. People just go around. They're not worried about time. Just go around volunteering in hostels. I wish I could change my mindset and just get to that point, you know. But no, I think I know I could if I really tried. I could, but it's hard when you're born into that world of consumerism and capitalism, thinking that we have to have money, you know. Maybe
that's what traveling teaches you, right?
That is what traveling teaches you. So what if money wasn't an issue? I mean, I guess I would say traveling. I would just keep traveling and traveling.
Go to space once the technology's there.
I don't know if I'm really interested in that.
Really, I just go to space just to see what the world looks like from above. Like, I know you get to see the pictures and all that, but surely it's different once you're up there.
I think I'm happy enough on a plane, to be honest.
Fair enough.
But I think one day, then I would like one day to have my land and to have my own little hippie space and you know,
grow your own food. Yeah.
Maybe have a hostel as well. But I have to find the right place for that. I have to find a place that I really feel happy and comfortable, that I want to
Fair enough. That's the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah.
So what question would you like to ask the next guest?
What is the next biggest invention going to be by 2034?
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be a specific thing. So we had like AI is blown up in the last few years. But it could be a specific thing like the iPhone back in the early 2000s. So yeah, next biggest thing in the next 10 years.
Nice. Very nice. And finally, what message would you like to share in your own language?
Okay, hi everyone. Yellaru ee podcast Keli enjoy ಮಾಡಿ ಬನ್ನಿ ಈ ತರ ಏನೋ podcast ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So keep tuned. So that I basically said, I hope you enjoy this podcast and Ben will keep making more of these podcasts. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Well,
I'm not great when I get put on the spot like that. So.
You're good. No, I appreciate the effort, and
all good.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today. It's been lovely. It's like, you know, time just passes us by, but nothing really changes, you know.
100%. And we'll meet once you're back here. We'll get Paran back as well.
We'll go to the snow center again.
Yeah, I'll do that as well. Yeah, it's good fun.
You can pick me up in your convertible.
Yeah, I will do. Or my own car that I built from the ground.
Yeah. If everything changes in the next year.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been episode 13 of Backpacks History.